The asteroid called Metal Hurlant, or the Howling Metal, is all that remains of what was once a living planet. It has been cursed to travel ceaselessly through the galaxies, while it screams in agony and despair. In Episode 1, the Metal Hurlant passes near a planet where the king is dying and the robot drones need a new ruler. While desperately trying to keep the king alive with medical aid, the robots moderate a combat tournament on the king's grounds to find the right successor to the throne. One of the contestants, Galam, defeats his opponent, while the Metal Hurlant swooshes through the sky behind him. A drone declares him the winner and broadcasts his live interview where Galam, hailing from an impoverished township, declares that he wants to make a difference by bringing peace and technology to all villages. Just then, another contestant, Teague Landau, challenges him to a duel, but a loud gong blares through the air, marking the end of the day's combat session. After that, Gillam heads to the banquet hall with his friend Julian. At the warriors' table, Teague declares that if he becomes king, he will demolish the king's lavish norms such as feasts, sex slaves, and drugs, so his underprivileged people can have a better quality of life. Another warrior, Hudson, dreams out loud how he will manage things once he makes king. Teague offers Gillam a drink, but he refuses, so Teague teases him about his ambitions for the crown. Gillam reminds him how the king's disregard for the outside world has ruined his township, so he intends to make the world a better place. Hudson cuts him off, boasting about defeating him the day after, at the final contest for the king's crown. The next morning begins with combat sessions among the warriors. When Hudson duels Gillam, he keeps taunting him about his humble slum, but Gillam soon gains the upper hand with his fighting skills and eliminates Hudson. Next, Julian challenges Teague to a duel, who is busy trying to win the crowd with his gift of the gab. Teague easily kills Julian and challenges Gillam to a duel since they are the last two contestants. Both men fight bravely, and Teague destroys Gillam's shield due to his might. When they resort to hand-to-hand combat, Teague easily has the lead. He asks Gillam to do better and hurls his sword toward him. They duel again, and Gillam proves his mettle. Just as he is about to strike Teague, he stops mid-air, and Teague expresses that Gillam is the king he had been looking for. As it happens, Teague could never become king since he was the king's illegitimate son, so he wanted to ensure that the right person earned the throne, so he could lead the people toward freedom. With that, Teague slays the robot and is fatally shot by the drones, leaving Guillaume as the last man standing and the future king. Next, Guillaume walks into the king's chamber to be crowned as king, where the king's cloaked advisor robot declares that the king has died. The moment Guillaume sits on the throne, suddenly shackles bind him, and the robots execute the gruesome procedure of transplanting the dead king's brain inside Guillaume's head, securing their continued rule over the people. In the second episode, a woman wakes up in her neighbor's bomb shelter. Seeing her confused state, Mr. Davis informs her that a warning went off earlier, followed by a nuclear attack. When Davis was heading toward his bunker, he noticed Jen in her yard. Jen suddenly remembers that someone hit her before she blacked out. Davis apologizes that it was the only way to save her since there was no time to explain. Jen rushes for the door to check on her family, but Davis stops her since they all perished in the nuclear attack. Jen cannot believe her ears and she breaks down, so Davis comforts her, asking her to take all the time she needs. The next day, Jen wonders if they are safe, so Davis tells her that they are 10 feet underground with walls armed with lead, hence they will be safe from the radiation as long as the doors remain closed, which are locked from the inside. Despite Davis telling her that all radio channels were destroyed, Jen insists on using the radio, so he teaches her how to. Another day goes by, and Jen has no success establishing contact with the outside world. Davis brings her food while she takes a shower to freshen up. On the 5th day, Jen asks Davis why he built a nuclear bunker, so he tells her that he built it for his lovely wife. She used to worry about being struck by missiles, but even having a safe place could not alleviate her worries, and she eventually got sick and passed away after overdosing. Ever since her death, people started shutting him down, and one day Jen's father saw Davis looking at Jen, so he was always wary of him, while Davis was just remembering his wife. Just then, Jen accidentally soils her clothes with food, so Davis offers her his wife's clothes, which are about just the same size as hers. When Jen changes into a dress, she breaks down at how life has unfolded, so Davis puts on some music, telling her that's how he used to comfort his wife whenever she'd be upset. He asks her to dance with her, and Jen gets emotional, eventually hugging him for saving her life. Things escalate quickly and they start making out. Davis tries to stop her since he is an older man, but Jen insists that she needs to numb her grief. The morning after, Jen decides to make them both a cup of tea, so she heads to the kitchen. To her horror, she finds a box containing photos of herself. Just then, Davis enters the kitchen, and she calls him out for stalking and kidnapping her. He insists that he loves her, which is why he saved her from the nuclear explosion, but she calls his bluff and tries to escape. This results in a scuffle, and Jen smashes his head with a pitcher until he dies. Then she unlocks the door and climbs her way to the surface, but once she opens the door, she realizes he isn't lying about the nuclear attack, as the entire city has been reduced to ruins. The third episode opens with a man confined in a prison run by strange creatures, where the red lights dampen his cognition, and the only way he can remember his past is by closing his eyes. His people perished when the aliens offered them advanced weapons, as it turned people against each other, giving the aliens the perfect grounds for invasion. The prisoner tries to escape, but in vain. However, that does not deter him from giving up, and he keeps pushing till one day he succeeds in getting a metal bar. When the security guard notices him, he tries to stop him, but the prisoner knocks him out. A fight ensues, and just as the alien is about to subdue the captive, he grabs the alien's gun, eliminating it. Then he leaves his cell and tries to find a way out while hiding from the other guards, even taking down a few of them. He finally finds a door leading him out of the prison, but his freedom is short-lived as the masked guards shoot him. As they stand over his body, the guard removes his helmet only to reveal that the masked predators are actually humans, and they are hunting the inhabitants of this red planet. The scene changes, and it is now 2312, with the world's population at 37 billion. The police and archaeologists come across a lab where several frozen bodies from the 20th century have been discovered. Only one cryogenic chamber has sustained the tests of time, and while they are examining it, they trace life signs, while the Metal Hurlant shoots through the sky. As the man is still alive, they treat his ailment with modern medicine, but since they do not deem him useful to society, the senior officer orders his execution. He is sure of his decision when he learns that the guy keeps drawing pictures, which he thinks are unnecessary in the modern world. As the old man is walking toward his death, his drawings reveal Mickey Mouse, implying that he is Walt Disney, who cryogenically froze himself to avoid succumbing to his ailing lungs, only to be executed many decades later. In Episode 4, the frustrated captain of the spaceship US Atlanta abuses her soldiers for fun. While she is making out with a soldier, the spaceship is suddenly struck by the Metal Hurlant. 3 of the entire crew manage to get away in an escape pod, and once they are in a safe zone, they send out a distress signal. Crew engineer Stanley Summer introduces himself to the space commandos Timarek and Kaskov, who saved him. As they wait for the rescue ship, they try to keep themselves busy. While talking, things get heated, and Timarek demeans Stanley when the latter complains of being stuck in space. Timarek then explains that a gigantic ship with an escort convoy was once attacked by a little fighter ship, without a single hit to the little ship. When 2 pilots docked the giant ship, they killed the entire crew of 1,000 people mercilessly, so they had it worse. While Stanley corrects his perspective, suddenly an alarm starts blaring, and the commandos deduce that the leak in the hull must have blocked the oxygen. Since the ship doesn't have enough oxygen for the 3 of them, the aggressive commandos have Stanley put a suit on and eject him into space despite his protests. Some moments later, the oxygen levels dwindle faster than Timarek predicted, so the 2 commandos start fighting each other until Kaskov kills Timarek. Just then, he hears a rescue ship signal which is a minute away, but his relief is short-lived, as he is unable to survive the depleting oxygen level and dies. Back on Earth, the captain of the rescue mission is informed about both men being dead. However, they were able to save Stanley in space, and he mentions the debris blocking the oxygen, implying he was the one who tampered with the ship's oxygen levels to get back at the commandos who left him to die. The 5th episode begins with 2 mercenaries hunting hydras in space. While they manage to hunt them all, one of the guys gets fatally injured. Hondo tries to save Cool, but the latter is convinced this is his end. He tells Hondo how he attacked the ogres of Gamatoro and freed their slaves. Among them were turtle sapiens, a species that lived on a giant planet called Galthar, harboring all the information and memories from all planets, including information about where and when each human being will die. However, it is quite difficult to find this planet, as it rotates around the last sun of the galaxy. With these last words, Cole dies. Back on Earth, Hondo waits for his and Cole's payment in a bar. A couple of bar girls try to get him drunk to steal his money, but he is one step ahead of them. This causes a bar fight, but he leaves unscathed. Later, he returns to space in search of Galthar, only to learn that it is 2,000 light-years away, so he takes a leap of faith and jumps his ship to the end of the galaxy. Suddenly, he is ambushed by cannibal pirates, but he fends them off. On the other hand, the turtle sapiens on Galthar converge and discuss Hondo's arrival as predicted earlier by the Great Karma. Meanwhile, Hondo bears the heat from the lake of ancestral magma, fights and defeats an intergalactic angel, loses his ship and sacrifices his sleep to get to Galthar. In the next scene, Hondo is welcomed by the turtle sapiens, who tell him that he will meet the woman of his dreams shortly and will spend 6 sweet years with her until death finds them both. Just then, a woman appears in the arena, and Hondo rescues her from the guards pursuing her. They instantly fall in love and bond over and over again while looking for treasure in space. However, 6 years later, the Metal Hurlant passes them by, and suddenly they find themselves suffocating in the relationship, hence they part ways. One day, they both come face to face during a heist, and believing each other to be a traitor, they shoot one another fatally, fulfilling the turtle sapiens' prediction about them dying at the same place and time. The 6th episode begins with Grand Priest Kern informing Joshua the warrior that his time to serve his people has come. 2 girls prepare his body so he can honor the pledge his ancestors made and eliminate the dragon that has descended to Earth. Once the sacred ritual is over, he is given a sword, after which he disappears into thin air. He journeys through icy winters and barren caves until one day he comes across a man cutting through a cattle carcass with his face concealed. He deliberately picks a fight with Joshua, but the mighty warrior subdues him easily and continues his journey. He finds himself drawn to a village, where he overhears some guards pointing out that tonight must be the night. Moments later, Joshua feels the presence of the dragon nearby, as does his sword, since it lights up. As instructed by Grand Priest Kern, Joshua follows his instinct and finds his way to the dragon, so he can bring his head back to the Grand Priest. However, when he enters the dragon's room, he is shocked to find a 6-year-old boy. Torn by his morals, he just cannot bring himself to hurt the kid, despite knowing that this will allow the dragon's spirit to wreak havoc later. Just then, guards show up and they shoot him. Joshua manages to escape but succumbs to blood loss from his wound and the harsh winter. As soon as he dies, the sword returns to Grand Priest Kern, implying that Joshua has failed. In the end, the little boy's mother comforts him that there is nothing to fear about, and the boy is revealed to be the young Adolf Hitler. With that, the movie ends. Thanks for watching Metal Hurlant Chronicles series. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel. See you next time. Welcome, sci-fi fans. Futurist Flicks is thrilled to launch our exclusive membership program, designed for loyal fans like you. By joining, you'll unlock early access to recap videos, unseen recap videos, raffle prizes, free merch giveaways, exclusive content and behind-the-scenes insights, access to community events, live streams, and Q&A sessions. Join the Cosmic Crew today and get instant access to exclusive perks. Thanks for watching, and stay tuned for more intergalactic adventures.